Indian women Indian women hockey team from a substandard
Yes,
team to how they won the world championship. See,
exactly.
whenever I think of this movie Chak De India and the lead character in that movie Kabir Khan, which is played by SRK, always comes to me another face as well. I don't know how many of you have heard of this gentleman. His name is Dave. His name is Dave Brailsford. How many of you heard of Dave Brailsford?
Briscoe, yeah, yeah, Briscoe, yeah.
All right. So I would just give you an introduction because I
I'm worried
guess
that I cannot.
majority did not hear of the gentleman of Dave Brailsford. I would just start with it was truly an important decision of an organization which was governing the British professional cycling team to hire Dave Brailsford as their performance director. We always say
Wow.
long time ago whenever we have some story, we always say that once upon a time, but this was not once upon a time, it was just 17 years ago. To be more precisely saying, it was in 2003. They did a big decision that they wanted to hire brave Dave Brailsford as their performance director. When Dave came on board, what was the condition of English professional cycling team? They were poor performing team. If I say poor performing team, I got some data to it. From 1908 until 2003, which means 95 years, there were there were 24 Olympic Games. In that 24 Olympic Games, the British athletes won only one gold medal. If you consider this as a poor performance, I have something to tell you, worst performance of them. We all heard of Tour de France, right? Which is considered as the biggest event for the cycling on this planet of Earth. In 110 years, until 2003, Brits won zero in Tour de France. And then
Oh,
after that, if it is a worse, I have something really intimidating to share with you. One of the top bike manufacturers in Britain, they refused to sell bikes to British athletes because they were afraid that this will impact their sales. Look at that condition. And our gentleman, Dave Brailsford, joined over there as a performance director. He wanted to turn around that team. He wanted to put a complete shift over there. He wanted to put them in a different path. What did he do over there? He brought a philosophy which is called AMG. Any idea what is AMG stands for? AMG is aggregation of marginal gains.
wow.
Aggregation of marginal gains. What he did over there, it's nothing but searching the tiny improvement in everything that you do. What our gentleman Dave Brailsford did, he broke down whatever the things which he could think that goes into riding a bike. And then he just wanted to have a 1% improvement in all the pieces that he did. And he was so sure that if he gets 1% improvement in each of these pieces, if he puts together this would give him a massive result. He just went out over there and he found a bicycle of an athlete. And when he saw the seat, he thought like, seat can be improved. So he redesigned the seat that brought comfortability there. The riders were more of comfortable to ride that bike. When he saw the tire, he decided that he would rub alcohol on that tire, which would give more grip. Similarly, he did many things in order to maintain the ideal muscle temperature. Electrically heated overshots he gave to athletes. And he used a biofeedback sensor to understand how these athletes are responding to their workouts. With this, he could plan better workouts. And even the fabric which they use, what he did over there, he selected the lighter fabric, which is more aerodynamic. And he went everywhere. He did not just stop over there. He just, dig deep into it. All the blind spot, all the overlooked areas, unnoticed areas. He tested all the massage gels. just to see this one, which massage gel will give him better muscle recovery. He hired a team of medical practitioners just to teach the athletes how to wash the hands, how to practice the how to practice the sanitization in total. He went to the room of every athlete. He identified their bed and pillow, and he thought over this could be changed. And he bought a better pillow and bed over there. So what that gave the athletes that better sleep, quality sleep. He saw some dust inside their room. He painted everywhere with a white color. Even inside their vehicle also he painted with a white color. So what was his idea was a 1% improvement in each area. If he put together everything, he will get a massive result. Similarly, a 1% of neglected deterioration put together, that will have a massive negative impact. So he did all these circus, and what was the result of it? In 2008, during a Beijing Olympics, this British athletes really did a domination. 60% of the gold medal they bagged it. In 2012 London Olympics, in their own land, they did a 7 world record and 9 Olympic records. And Tour de France, which was not at all something which they could achieve. They achieved in 2012, 13, 15, 16, and 17. 6 years, 5 times. So in total, from 2007 to 17, they achieved 178 championships and 66 gold medals in Olympics and Paralympics, and 5 to the France. So what is the simple message that I want to give you over here? We all overestimate one earth-shattering movement, one defining moment in our life. But we all underestimate the tiny, small improvement in our life on a consistent basis. Our e-bookery is also formed with that philosophy. 1% of tiny improvements, chapter after chapter after chapter after. One of that improvement, we always see that with our presenters and books. We work to get the best presenters on this platform. We work to get the best books on this platform. And we have a gentleman who relentlessly works for it. So I would like to call upon him to introduce our speakers and book. Badru, do you have any idea who gonna that be?
I have no doubt. It's uh, our very precious, yes, who is working, as what you said, who works relentlessly. He is Mr. Anil Thomas.
Thank you.
So
Thank you, Badru.
let
And
me,
thank you, Nias. I mean,
you're welcome.
yeah,
Yeah.
because
So
we have two very busy speakers today, and I'm just getting into the introduction straight away. Very good evening,
that's
ladies
good.
and gentlemen. Great to see you all again. We have two influential, vibrant, brilliant super speakers joining us from two ends of the world. First thing first, let me introduce the first book and speaker. Obstacle is the Way is not an academic textbook, and that's the book he's going to review today. It's a book about philosophies in general and Stoic philosophy in particular. The central theme of this book is the belief that everyone is able to handle the obstacles that come in the life, even though we can't necessarily control everything about life. Author of the book is Ryan Holiday, began his professional career after dropping out of college at the age of 19. Holiday is the author of several books and has written for Forbes, Fast Company, the Huffington Post, the Columbia Journalism Review, the Guardian, the Thought Catalog, Medium.com, and the New York Observer. Coming to speaker one, Qasi M. Muhammad, well-known international speaker, TED speaker, an award winner, and regular face in international conferences, a best friend of mine, kind-hearted person, and pioneer of modern management in Bangladesh. Friends, help me in welcoming Qasi onto eBookery platform.
Thank you for the generous introduction. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Shall I get started, or after you introduce Craig as well? No, you will introduce Craig later then. This is how it works.
Yes.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. So thank you. Perfect. What a pleasure. I mean, I should be mindful of Nia Sali, who doesn't take an answer as it is. He said, "Are you sure?" In my case, yes, it is a pleasure for many reasons. To begin with, this is the first time that I got this opportunity to be on this, but I have a feeling this is not going to be the last time. Each Saturday evening, I had something, but soon I would not regularly have something, so I would be able to join and listen to all the best of the best stories and inspirational ideas. I got just one sample from your colleague Nia Sali. That's powerful. And of course, Badaru Rizwan, thank you so much for so nicely talk about many things, including the Hindi movie that we all watched, including myself. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I know I have only 20 minutes, and if I spend talking about this, then I will lose my time. So I want to straight go into book review. Now, I don't know why I was picked. I didn't write a single book yet. One reason is I feel that I'm not qualified enough to. So, but somebody told me if I can put together everything that I speak, my own material even, if that could be turned into a book, maybe I'll have to do that, because I'm more comfortable speaking than writing. But other than that, I'm grateful to Anil, my very good friend, a great friend. We are together on another platform. So having said this, I want to tell you that this book, The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday, who is probably half my age, you know. Literally, he's probably 24 or now, but I think, or maybe less than 20. I mean, not even 24. Right. So my point is, when a few years back I read the book, it changed my life completely. I left my book in the office, and I have not visiting office because of the pandemic. Pardon me for not showing the book. I have so many other books here, but not that particular book right now. Now, why it changed my life, I said, is because when I read the book, I already found, a little bit of teaser here, that I was behaving like that in my life, even from my SSC days. SSC meaning secondary school certificate, not even high school. Our secondary school graduation time. And what I'm going to do in the remaining time is simply this. For convenience, I'm not going to talk only. I saw the word storytelling, and I want to use some slides, but this is different slides. On YouTube, there is one channel called Productivity Games. This Canadian gentleman, I forget his name right now, he summarizes all the books. I later stumbled upon that book summary with visuals. So I had the screenshots all put together, and very quickly I will now go ahead with that, so that you not only listen to me, but I can give you specific ideas from the book with specific, some of the images, cartoon images that comes along the way. So give me the permission. I request the host to give me the permission to go to share screen. I think has been given already, even before I asked for it. These are good people. They do it. So here you go. I tried to, yeah. I tried my best to write something here. Okay, so here we go. The Obstacle is the Way. I'm just reviewing it to the best of my ability. And I better look at the timing. Okay. Now, so he starts the book with the story at one point of how Hitler started what later came to be known as Blitzkrieg, that sudden attack, unpredictable. In warfare, before Hitler, unfortunately, it went to Hitler, nobody did it exactly the way. At the same time, from Germany, they went in both directions. And they were like in all over Europe, within a very short period of time. So long story short, and they were pushing everybody to go back to the where they came from, the Allied forces I'm talking about, at one point, not at the beginning, especially mid to end game of the Second World War. So it's General Eisenhower was that time, of course, I think the leading the Allied forces. And the Blitzkrieg was the worst kind of situation for the Allied forces. And yet, General Eisenhower felt that there must be an opportunity. Even in the worst case scenario, he thinks that there is an opportunity there. Now you get the idea. The obstacle is the way. Whenever there's an obstacle, that's when you become more creative. That's when you come up with better ideas. Even during peacetime, you're not even more creative, they say, as much as when you are in a wartime or challenging time. In business, war could be a lot of competition. With individuals, it could be, okay, the same. You compete with thought leaders with how to write the best book, the best article, and so on. So anyway, quick, I have to go faster, not like this. So here is how the Panzer tanks at the beginning, the German soldiers, how they came, and the other European nations. At the front were the Panzer tanks, and there was a gap in between, and there was the German soldiers. And Eisenhower planned exactly this. He planned that the British soldiers, the Americans, so the Allied forces will let the Panzer tanks move forward, and yet they will come into the gap. And then what General Patton later said, they will become a meat grinder. In fact, in the Battle of the Bulge, if you go to the Wikipedia, you will see Battle of the Bulge, BULG, you will see that how this was the decisive victory of Allied forces. Some people say that is one of the reasons why it was so easier to defeat the Germans. So all I'm trying to say at the very beginning, even if I cannot finish within the time, just know, even during the challenge, even during the worst of times, there are opportunities. That is the mindset. Now, this is obstacle and there is opportunity. That's how you need to think. This idea is not there only from Second World War. In fact, from ancient Greece, and later ancient Rome, Marcus Aurelius, Emperor Marcus Aurelius has a famous thing to say. He said, impediment to action advances action. If there's an obstacle, the obstacle becomes the way. I paraphrase. So this is something so relevant during this challenging pandemic time. Or even it could be during any other time. It could be recession. It could be personal setback. So at any time. So the whole idea then is the obstacle is the way. How? Look at these people images and the dollar sign going down. During pandemic, so many people become unemployed. If you want to do an entrepreneurial something, you will actually see that you can hire them for less. I know doesn't sound very good from human resources point of view, but because they were not employed, they would be it's easier to get talents hired. That's a good idea. And then think about hiring, warehouses, office spaces. If you need office spaces, sometimes you don't need office spaces if people work from home. So all these, there's an obstacle, there's a pandemic, and yet there are opportunities. How is the opportunity? You have to come up with a business idea that captures the opportunities. Perhaps you have to use artificial intelligence in the IT and so on. I can go on and on. So everything gets cheaper, but then you have to work along those lines. And later, when the pandemic is over, you may have bigger, they say, share of the market. whether it's individual or team or even organization. So that's why you win. So there are many other stories from history how this has happened. I'll not go into the details, but from America, you can hear about Walt Disney production right after the, I think the Great Depression. People compare Great Depression with even now. That's when the Walt Disney production started. Costco started during a recession in the 70s. And more recently, LinkedIn actually started after the dot-com bust. I think it's early 80s or something. Others would know better. I forgot. So in other words, hey, do not be led by others convincing you that these are not the good times. So in our brain, we must take into cognizance that you should actually think differently. You have to probably, when it comes to stock market, when others are selling, you should buy. When others buy, you should sell. I think the contrarian approach makes sense. Be fearful when others are greedy, and be greedy when others are fearful. We all know our famous billionaire. So in our brain, then we have to think of the opportunity, and it's not merely just a setback. Rather, in fact, you have to learn to even love it, because you cannot change it. You know it even before from I think from Stephen Covey's this circle of influence versus circle of concern, and all this. You guys know this is a very knowledgeable and expert audience here. I'm sharing ideas from Ryan Holiday's book. So they said you even love it. Now it goes against the conventional wisdom. So Ryan Holiday, this is the guy whose picture, he says, when you're in adversity, something that you cannot change, don't even say, I'm okay with this. No, not even, I think I feel good about this. No. He said, you should say, I feel great about this. Now, I don't know, there's a lot of psychology here, perhaps, that you cannot change something. So why bother? Rather say, great, I got lemon. I expected an orange. Nobody gave me an orange. I got a lemon. So when I get a lemon, I make a lemonade out of it. That's the whole point. You already know. So if it happened when it was meant to happen, something that is beyond your control, and I am glad that it did when it did. How many of you can say that? Surprisingly, now this is a big claim, and I don't know what you will tell me, but I have learned it. I have practiced it. Maybe that aggregate marginal gains, AMG, aggregate marginal gains. Thank you for teaching me again. I appreciate that. And I read the same case study. Yeah, this is, someone wrote in chat that when I read the book, James Clear's Atomic Habit, it came up in a big way, very nice way. Anyway, even in his blog, I read it, I think 3-4 years back. Yeah. So you get the idea. Completely opposite. I am meant to make the best of it. So no complaint, no blaming anybody else. When you blame somebody, 3 fingers are actually looking at you, 3 fingers, and 1 is above, maybe the circumstances. So you better, if you blame somebody, blame with 5 fingers. No, don't blame at all. So we must draw on the wisdom of that famous German philosopher, Nietzsche, Friedrich Nietzsche. My formula for greatness, he quotes in the book, in a human being is amor fati. If any one expression you take away today from this book review insights is, please take this, amor fati. That Latin expression basically means, amor means love, fati means fate. As I said before, or as not I, as Ryan Holiday quotes Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and many others. but they're the from the old times. So Amor Fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in an eternity, not merely bear what is necessary, not just bear it, still less conceal it. You don't have to hide it even if you're in hardship, but love it. Again, it's easier said than done. During the pandemic, I did calculate what is the worst case scenario. And I found out in the worst case scenario is I will be in my village home, which is like, about 50 kilometers away from where I live in Dhaka. I work sometimes in Afghanistan. I work sometimes in Malaysia, in Labuan, specifically in Labuan, those Malaysians who are listening, if there are any, I heard there were. And sometimes I go to India to conduct programs in Kolkata, in Hyderabad, and a few other places. So all I'm trying to say is, when I felt I'll be in the village, because in the first 5 years of my life, I actually was in the village. So anyway, let me go faster because I have less than 10 minutes. So Amor Fati, that's the Stoic attitude. Huh? Search on Google what is Stoic philosophy. I don't have the time to share that part. So this is like your smiling face. You can be indifferent to very bad situations. Huh? And in the book, they give an example that don't be like a cow in a rain, rather be like a child during rain who enjoys the rain, even tries to take rain or water by blurting out the tongue. I've seen that. I haven't done that, but I've seen that people doing. But of course, as kids, we all were in the rain. So they enjoy rather instead of feeling bad. That kind of attitude. Amor Fati. So these negative things that happen in our life, according to this Stoic philosophy presented by Ryan Holiday, says these are assets. Why do you use as negatives? These are assets because imagine if you become better and better, if something doesn't kill you, makes you stronger. Another quote from the German philosopher, Friedrich Nietzsche. So it's pronounced Nietzsche. Some people say Nietzsche. No, Nietzsche. That's the correct pronunciation. I learned from somebody. Anyway, so why is it an asset? Suppose you're lonely. So that means think that you value others. Maybe you can call others. So if you're lonely, don't feel bad. Rather feel good. Oh, I value others. Or suppose you're frustrated or guilty. And they say, that means you have higher standard. You didn't do well. Or you didn't do a better job of your presentation or anything. Well, if you feel bad, feel good about it. Why? Because your standard is higher. Look at it that way instead of this way. So in the story, I'm closing down, coming to the close in the next 5 minutes, I think. The obstacle is the way. Book has a story about in 1910, oh my God, more than 110 years back, there was a big fight, heavyweight fight between Jack Johnson, who at that time was the #1 heavyweight champion, and between Jim Jeffrey, who was and just got retired. So this is the original poster, the incomparable prize fight, the heavyweight prize fight in Reno, I think Arizona, yeah, July 4, 1910, between, as I said, Jack Johnson was the black heavyweight, and nobody could stand it. The whites, I mean, they felt nothing good or bad, but times were so different. There was so much racist. Well, it's not about then. We saw during Trump era, or even how come the 73 million votes? I'll not talk about that now. So Jim Jeffrey came back at the request of so many others. We have to defeat, they said, Jack Johnson. Otherwise, we have to endure the best of the best. We'll go to the black heavyweight champion. How can we live like that? That was the kind of bad vibe. So the great white hope they felt was Jim Jeffrey. Now, what happened? In 15 rounds, and I go very quickly, these are actual pictures you can see here. In 15 rounds, consistently, Jack Johnson, our heavyweight champion for the year, our black friend Jack Johnson, had a smiling face. Even when, look at this, even when blood came out of his left right lip at the corner because of the, of course, during the fight, of course, this is during a boxing fight, of course. So all I'm trying to say is he did not stop smiling. Now, this created such a negative impression on Jim Jeffrey. He felt very uneasy. Why is this guy smiling? Why doesn't he feel intimidated by my even such punches that leads to even bleeding at the corner of the lip, you know, and all that? So I think I see him as a stoic. His fate, and he said, good, this makes me stronger. Every time I get a hit, I get stronger, you know. It's also called anti-fragile. If I ever get a chance to speak again on another book, I'll come back with Nassim Taleb's Anti-Fragile, if nobody has done that before. That's another great book. So this is how it is going on. Entire 15 rounds, my friend, went like that, but he got tired. Our friend Jim Jeffrey was so tired, like later, maybe Muhammad Ali did the similar thing, you know, butterfly approach and all that. Again, but he got so tired, and by 15 round, on the 15th round, of course, Jack Johnson did his best play and making him tired, and he won. So I don't know, this example came in a big way. So when you get a punch from life, according to this book, which of course Ryan Holiday brings the stoic feelings, if you get a punch, say, ha, 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 God, Allah, Bhagavan, whatever you say. Oh, good, you're testing me. I can overcome, you know, that kind of feeling. This is rare, but this is the inspiration today, a very practical, real life inspiration. Someone is rude to you, your boss is rude to you, let's say. You say, okay, thank you, good, because I'm gonna prove to her or him that I can do better. See it positively. Okay, and there's a rival. Okay, good, surprised, and easily surpass them through hard work by becoming better. Why feel bad? Rather, spend that energy in developing yourself. In fact, I did that, but no time for telling stories. I had some colleague, I was a university teacher, he was after me, but instead of me doing anything against him, I was developing myself as a young lecturer. I'm talking about things happening like 20 years back. Rest is history. I don't want to mention much. I go to 7 different countries, and in Bangladesh, alhamdulillah, as we say, is going great. Okay, you're sick for some reason. Even if you're a COVID patient and you think you're not going to die, most people don't die anyway. So feel that you got a great time. You can watch our show every Saturday, you know, our e-Bookery show. And then you can read books. You always wanted to read books. You never got time. Now you're sick. Now you're bedridden. But in between your medicine, when you're recuperating, you can do that. So that's it. That makes you stronger, better. So in other words, imagine, maybe the last part, imagine you are going into your own farm. I have my own office, and I have not been going for many months, but only recently I started again. In Bangladesh, situations a little bit better. Anyway, I don't want to mention that. I want to imagine I'm going out of business. Still okay. Still this is good. Why is it good? Because I don't have fixed costs now. Because I can work from anywhere in the world. So I will find out a way why this could be an amor fati. If this is what happened, if this I cannot change, I would love this, you know. Obsolete product, good, because I'll create a better product, you know. Lost your drive, good, because I will regenerate my drive. So, you know, many companies, organizations are continually doing it. Facebook is always in a thread, and they always either buy Instagram, and then again they become better, bigger, or they buy WhatsApp or some other things, So even though they could not buy Snapchat, I know, but they even became better. So last point I think is this one: if you have a challenge, if there's somebody says the end of your job, oh, so what? you can you can do something else. Some other door opens. This is the last idea. They say do some pre-mortem. Don't do post-mortem. Post-mortem is easy because after somebody dies, after something happens, you analyze. Why didn't you do pre-mortem, which is I've reached my 20 minutes since I started talking, so I must stop in 30 seconds. So this is pre-mortem. Pre-mortem is, so what can I do? Examine the cause of death? No. Examine potential cause of death. What potential reason I could be fired. So then what should I do or should I not do? How can I become a brand? How can I become indispensable? All this you do pre-mortem, then just you become, you have your many, many, many different ways. So I don't want to say much. The same thing is in summary. So that's it. This was the obstacle is the way. That's what I took. And I was lucky that I got these images and I could use it for you as well. I thank you. I thank all of you for listening to me. I overshot a few minutes. I'm sorry for that. So thank you. Thank you for your time. I don't know how you move ahead, but I'm here.
What a wonderful session it was, Mr. Kasi. I mean, beautiful PPT presentation and a wonderful narration from your side. Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water, but Jack and Jim came here along with the Ghazi to teach us the importance of, how beautifully we need to embrace struggles in our life with the grace, with the resilience. Amazing lesson from it. And we all love to be a child in the rain rather than being a cow. And your PPT presentations are all amazing, wonderful. And the obstacle is the way now we completely understood. Every obstacle will have an equal or better opportunity seed in it. We all know that one. Without taking much time over here, I would like to move on to the Craig, because the discussion, we will hold it for a while, and once the Craig is done, we will get back to the discussion. Once again, Cassie, wonderful. I would like to invite, I would like to call upon Anil Thomas, please.
Thank you, Kasi, for that wonderful. I know how big a philosopher are you. Let me get into my straight responsibility. Craig, our second speaker for today is Craig M. Chavez, an energetic young man, is an award-winning author, an interdisciplinary coach on a mission to help entrepreneurs discover, embrace, and transform their purpose into profits. He's a serial entrepreneur, returned Peace Corps volunteer, former Division I intercollegiate athlete, the author of best-selling book, Burdens of a Dream. With respect, let me invite Craig M. Chavez into eBookery platform. Thank you, Craig, for coming on to eBook.
Hey, Anil. Hey, everybody. How y'all doing today? My name's Craig. I'm really running short on time, so I probably won't be able to stay on too long. Here in the States, we like to be more concise with stuff, and I have a lot to do. So I'm going to be coming at you from a different angle because I won't necessarily be reviewing a book. I'll be telling you a little bit about my story, because the book that I wrote, Burdens of a Dream, is my personal memoir. So without further ado, Anil, do I have the screen sharing capabilities as well?
You have it. Let me check it. Yes, please go ahead. Yes, great.
Okay, because I have a short presentation. And let's do it. Okay, can y'all see the PowerPoint and everything right now? Can you see the screen?
Yes, absolutely.
Beautiful. Alrighty, so the title of my book is called Burdens of a Dream, 33 Actionable Nuggets of Wisdom for the Creative Entrepreneur. And like I said, this is my personal entrepreneurial memoir about my life and my journey to date. So as Anil said earlier, my name's Craig. I'm an award-winning author and an interdisciplinary coach on a mission to help people, 1, discover, 2, embrace, and then 3, transform their purpose into profits. And so for me, I am a very purpose-driven individual because I believe that purpose is the most important thing in life. And as I've developed my entrepreneurial philosophy, it's based upon a couple simple words that everybody should become the entrepreneurs of their life, because like our life is a business. You are a business. You have a product, you have a brand, you have the ability to sell yourself. But I didn't know all of this was true until I went on my own proverbial entrepreneurial journey. And so I believe every philosopher, everybody in life has to have some type of foundational core philosophy. And so for me, entrepreneurship is a journey, it's a process of becoming. But along this journey, you're always going to run into multiple different obstacles along the way. And so when people are first starting out on their entrepreneurial journey, they're suffering analysis paralysis. They've kind of gotten the thought that they want to be an entrepreneur. They've gotten the idea that they want to take control of their life, but they're a little scared. They don't know where to begin. But as they move up this mountain of life, they start to get clarity once they get a starting point where they figure out where they get a little bit of direction. But as the previous author explained, like right now during COVID, so many people have arrived at a personal and or professional crossroads within their life. And this crossroads is the most important moment, because you're either going to decide to push on and persevere and move forward, or you're going to decide to give up and move back. And I feel that a lot of people right now, because they don't have any direction, they don't have any purpose, too many people are deciding to give up on life. And you can't, because right now, when you're at a crossroads, you have to make the decision to move forward. And once you do, ultimately, you'll get to this point in life where you're free. And that's where you've built a business around yourself and you're living life on your terms. And so for me, everybody's definition of freedom is different. But when you're able to wake up every day and live life the way you want to live, to me, that's the core essence of freedom. But for me to get to this point where I'm living in freedom, it wasn't easy. I've been on a hell of a journey. And so like I'm from the United States. I'm from a small town in Ohio called Cincinnati, Ohio. And growing up, I moved around a lot because of my father's job. And so I had to get used to meeting new people, being in different cultural environments. And it was very difficult for me growing up and figuring out who I was and what my identity would be. And so just to let you know how much I move, like I don't know how the Indian or Malaysian or Dubai school system is, but we have this thing called high school in the United States. And I went to 3 different high schools in 4 years. So I was constantly uprooted. I didn't have any stability. And I was trying to figure out who I was and how I fit in. And I often got picked on a lot. I was a chronic stutterer. I had learning disabilities, and life was very difficult for me growing up. But what grounded me and through all that instability was athletics. I was a really good American football player, and I got the opportunity to play Division I football in Alabama, which is in the South of the United States. And so for me growing up, that was what I held on to, was my athletic identity. But unfortunately, my sophomore year of college, I suffered a season ending and career ending injury that ended my athletic playing career. And that ultimately led me on a spiral of depression where I almost thought about dropping out of school. But this beautiful woman that you see in the photo was my Spanish professor, and she convinced me to study abroad in another country, to travel and to see the world, and then come back and think about whether I wanted to quit and drop out of school. And so as an American, I got the privilege, got the ability to study abroad in another country, in Costa Rica, Puerto Rico. It's still my favorite country in the world to date. But there I got to learn a new language, I got to learn a new culture, and I got to step away from my mindset, my kind of like poor juvenile mindset. And I got to get some elevation and figure out that I was going to make a terrible decision if I decided to drop out of school. And so one of the big quotes, I'm a big quotes person, and this is from Jennifer Young. And she said, "Life is hard enough without the added fear, panic, and anxiety. Your soul is crying out for love and encouragement. Take a moment to breathe deep, get present, and find some compassion for yourself." And so that's what I was able to do in Costa Rica. I was able to take a break and get out of my head. And once I did, I was able to come back refreshed and healed, ready to move forward with my life. And so I got addicted to travel. Like the travel bug bit me heavy in Costa Rica. And so I found myself studying abroad in Spain once again. And that's where I really found my true essence as this budding young entrepreneurial international businessman. And I became fluent in Spanish. And I was just like, my life and my future is going to be outside of my small US bubble. Because believe it or not, most Americans don't travel. Most Americans are trapped in their little country and they think that they're the greatest people in the world. And it's like, no, it's a fallacy. You have to go out and see the world. And that's one of the things I really love and respect about this group is that there's such an international and diverse perspective. And for me, I really, really value that as an American. So moving forward, I got out of undergraduate. I majored in Spanish, minored in international business and entrepreneurship, but I didn't want to stay in the South. I didn't want to stay in Alabama. I didn't want to enter the corporate work environment because it didn't fit me. So I wound up going down to Tampa, getting my master's degree in less than a year, which is really crazy. And after that, I was trying to figure out what was I going to do with my life? Like, was I going to go get a job like everybody else? Or was I going to do something different? And so I winded up joining the US Peace Corps, which is basically this volunteer organization that sends Americans to different countries around the world and pays them to live with people for 2.5 years and offer some type of professional services. And so this is very important. And Jim Rohn says, he's like, if you don't design your own life plan, chances are you'll fall into someone else's plan. And guess what they have planned for you? Not much. And as I was interviewing at all these corporate jobs, like all these managers were telling me I was going to have a great career. I was going to make all this money. I was going to be happy. But all the people I saw working there were absolutely miserable. And I'm like, I'm very purpose driven. Like, I don't want to waste my life because time is gold and money is silver. Like, we can always make money, but you can never, ever get your time back. And so I knew this as a 23-year-old kid that like, I'm not going to waste my life, living somebody else's dream. And so I had my own dream, and that was to become this international businessman. And so I winded up moving to Peru and did economic development consulting in Latin America for 2.5 years. And it completely changed my life. Like, I could go on for an hour just talking about that experience. But when I went there and I was embraced by these people who didn't know me, who didn't speak my language, and they just treated me like I was a king. And I just fell in love with this possibility of maybe becoming this international business person in Latin America. And so after my Peace Corps service was up, I actually immigrated back to Peru by myself and opened up one of the country's first craft distilleries. Like, no other American had ever opened up a distillery in Peru, but I was the first person to do that. And so I was able to accomplish my dream by leveraging the relationships that I built while I was in that country. And so you're going to see down here, this is my immigration card. This is a picture of like my products that I was making. Like, my distillery was on the beach and it was my dream business. And it was so successful and everything was going great until abruptly something happened. And so this is another quote that says, unexpected events can set you back or set you up. It's all a matter of perspective. And so what happened to me as my business was growing, I had to sign a new contract with the landlord to extend my lease. But unfortunately, I found out that they didn't own the property to begin with. So the lease that I signed was fraudulent. And so I had no right to be in that area doing what I was doing, even though I was screwed over. And so my dream was stolen from me. And so I put in hundreds of thousands of dollars to build this dream business, and I lost it because my business partner and landlord lied to me. And so that just led me into another spiral of depression. And so I had to move back to the United States, and I was sleeping on my sister's couch for months, just kind of in this pity, wondering what was going to be next. What was I going to do with my life? Well, who was I going to become? And so I thought of this quote, and it's from Sylvia Earle. And she says, hold up a mirror and ask yourself what you are capable of doing and what you really care about. Then take the initiative. Don't wait for someone else to ask you to act. And so this is super important because all of us, we experience setbacks and difficulties. And a lot of us, we stay stuck in our pity and our depression. But at the end of the day, the only person that could help you move forward is yourself. And so once I understood that, like, my fate was within my own hands. And even though what I experienced wasn't fair, life's not fair, and I had to move forward. And so I ultimately moved to Washington, D.C., launched another startup company called Visa Jump. And this was really successful. I was working with embassies, helping them to process their travel visas quicker. It was a pretty successful endeavor. But as we all know, anything involved with politics, you can only go so far. So after selling my business, I decided to move back to Ohio because that's where I'm from. That's where my family is. My grandmother unexpectedly passed away, and I had to take care of some family business. But it was the best thing that could have ever happened to me because I needed to come full circle. And so this is the last quote I want to present, and it's from a nice Nin, and it's a super way to end this super good way to end this presentation. And she says, "And the day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom." And so when I came back to Ohio, I was really hiding who I was. I was looking for jobs. I was trying to help out my family, trying to get a stable income. But I always knew that, like, I'm an entrepreneur. Why am I looking for work that doesn't fit me? And so I had to become who I really was. And so this is when I got my book deal, and I started sitting down and writing all those thoughts and telling that story that I just told you. I put those words on the paper. And when I was writing the book, I realized that this just wasn't a normal project. This was a calling. And so when you first open my book, this is what you see. I say this book is dedicated to all those who will dare to answer their calling, to abandon the status quo, follow the road not taken, and discover the person they're truly meant to become. And so, as much as I was writing that to the audience, I was also writing that to myself because I had to answer my calling to become an author and share my story with the world. Because if I didn't, I would be doing the world a disservice. And so, since coming back to Ohio, things have really changed for me after I decided to become the entrepreneur of my life. I'm an award-winning author now. I'm a successful business coach. I love doing what I'm doing, but getting to this point wasn't easy. Like, I had to climb those mountains. I had to go through those valleys. I had to get back up when I was hurt, get back up when I was injured. But persevering and pushing forward was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. And I'm so thankful for all those difficulties that I experienced. So yeah, I didn't want to take up much of your time. You could check out the book on Amazon and, audiobook, ebook, paperback, hardback, but just know that, like, everybody has the opportunity to become the entrepreneur of their life. Don't take life too seriously sometimes, but also know that, like, you have the power to become whoever you want to become and never give up despite your circumstances. So thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much, Craig. What a fantastic evening is this? The combo of Mr. Cassie and Craig. Cassie started out with obstacle is the way, and he showed us from his life, how the obstacles can be embraced and how you need to find your true calling in your life. Time is gold. Money is just a silver. Fantastic thought it is, and all the quotations that you put it over there, it's amazing. And the one which I truly loved is, hold up a mirror and ask yourself what you are capable of doing, what you are really care about, then take the initiative. Don't wait for someone else to ask you to do what you want to do. Fantastic, Craig. Badru, how has been your experience with these two speakers? I guess you are completely pumped over there.
Wow. Actually, I'm so excited. Mr. Craig, thank you for that wonderful session. And that was really stupendous. And, that's right. Actually, we all should, it mean a lot to all of us. Like, we have to cross all those hurdles, and we have to jump the hurdles, and we have to take initiative for what we want to be like. And that was a great message, and and Joe, that's his memoir, and he explained from his life, and that was a great thing what he did. And I really appreciate both the speakers for sharing your valuable thoughts with us. Thank you
Truly,
so
truly,
much.
everyone has that in their mind. Sapna, ma'am, how did you find that these two books? Ma'am, you need to unmute yourself.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Mr. Kwesi, Mr. Craig. Um, both the books, if I could reach out the books from a shelf right now, I could have done it because both the books, the way they explained it, makes it so interesting for because both talks about positivity, how your bad vibes can be turned into positive vibes, or your obstacles can create positivity. And especially, Mr. Kwesi, you have showed me that without even having a book to yourself, you can talk about a book that you have read in such a beautiful way. That was really, really wonderful. And after Badru and Nias's pleasant and vibrant talks, I am a person who looks at 10 people, my knees literally cracks on me. And I'm a very, very scared person. And thanks to Anil for pushing me. Sapna, you can do it. Thanks so much, Anil, for that. And Mr. Kwesi, that how you, especially the spontaneity of your words, even, right now in 2 seconds, I have used 3, 4 times, which was definitely not there in each, how you explained about the book and what you found in the book and, the quotes and everything that, and the, the best part of the explanation was how you playfully put down the slides and explain it to us that even though the book was nothing of a purpose to you, this is how interesting you can make it. You made that book much interesting for all of us to look for that and read the book. Thank you so much, Mr. Kwesi. And you have given us a punch of life through that book, how that book can be interesting to you. And same with Mr. Craig, you made your own bad vibes into your positive opportunities, which is again something which I look throughout in my life because I myself is an author, and writing books is something which I can understand that most of my poetry and everything has my own feelings and vibes are explained in the book, than the book itself. So most of your the way you said, hence the quotes which you used. I'm also somebody who is, even for birthdays and wedding anniversaries, when everybody, I look for quotes to send across as wishes. This is also another wonderful way of explaining to others that how life can be. Really, all your pains can be your opportunities. All your pains can be, a positive vibe too. And when you explain your own bad side, and when you go through your bad side, and when you walk into a positive vibe, this is how I did it as an example. When you tell another person, actually you're giving life to another person to be more positive, and how you can rise above your ashes, and like a phoenix bird, you have risen from your own ashes, something which I always been trying to, because whatever it is, and thank you so much for that Amazon links and everything. I am there. As soon as this program is over, I'm going right across to the book which Mr. Kwesi and Mr. Craig, both of you explained, and I'm searching for that book and reading it. Thank you so much from all of us from the Bookery. Thank you so much that both of you have done an amazing job, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sapna ma'am. You are an orator. You were trying to bluff us saying that you had a butterflies in your stomach.
Come on, after Nias, Badru and Nias, both of your smiles and vibes and everything, I am just a butterfly, not even a butterfly. I'm just a cocoon still now.
You need to float like a butterfly and you need to sting like a bee. That's what, Kasi, taught us through, Jim and, Jack and Jim.
I can use one of the Craig's quotes, Actually, Anil is the one who's given me that inspiration, people can inspire others with the words, if it is not for Anil's push, and you can do it, Sapna, that is what. Thank you so much, Craig.
Sapna ma'am, I'm sure, we are 36 people over here, and the one quote gonna disturb everyone over here. I'll tell you what is that quote. If you don't design your life plan, someone else will design for you. And what is what is their plan for you would be nothing much. But Kwasi was, broad-minded enough to teach us that, whatever the things that happened in the past is past. You can learn the lessons out of it and you can move forward. So what a wonderful correlation it is. Amazing day it's been. Sindhu ma'am, good evening, ma'am.